I bought an alien companion, and I was surprised she was really happy. Part 1. The transaction. Marcus Chen wiped the sweat from his forehead as he counted the credit chips for the third time. 2 years of mining asteroids in the outer rim, eating nothing but protein bars and recycled water, all for this moment. His small ship felt too quiet, too empty. After his partner Jake died in that mining accident 6 months ago, the silence had become unbearable. The Kepler station market buzzed with activity around him. Aliens of every shape and size moved through the crowded corridors, their strange languages mixing into a constant hum. Marcus had never felt more alone in a crowd. "You look like man who needs company, yes?" Marcus turned to see a Vrex trader approaching him. The reptilian alien's scales shifted from green to blue as he smiled, showing rows of sharp teeth. A long tail swished behind him as he moved. "Maybe," Marcus said carefully. He had heard stories about Vrex traders. They were known for selling things that were not always what they seemed. "I have perfect solution for lonely human," the Vrex said, his voice smooth like oil. "Premium companionship unit, very advanced, very realistic." Marcus felt his face grow hot. "I'm not looking for that kind of—" "No, no, no." The Vrex waved his clawed hands. "Not that type. This is conversation companion. Someone to talk with, to share meals, to make long space journeys less empty." The trader's eyes gleamed. "Very special model. One of a kind." Marcus hesitated. He had been thinking about getting an AI companion for months, something to fill the quiet hours between mining runs. "How much?" "For you, lonely human, special price. 15,000 credits." Marcus's heart sank. He only had 12,000. All his savings. "I don't have that much," the Vrex pretended to think, his tail tapping against the floor. "You seem like good human, honest face. I make deal. 12,000, and she is yours." Something about the way the trader said "she" made Marcus pause. "It's an AI, right? Artificial intelligence?" Of course. What else would it be?" The Vrex's scales shifted to a darker shade of blue. "Very advanced programming. You will be very happy." Marcus looked at his credit chips again. This was all the money he had in the universe. If he spent it on this, he would have nothing left for emergencies. But the thought of another 6 months alone in space made his chest tight. "Okay," he said. "I'll take it." The Vrex's smile grew wider. "Excellent choice. Follow me." They walked through the darker parts of the station, past shops that Marcus had never seen before. The Vrex led him to a storage bay filled with strange containers and machines. In the center of the room sat a large metal pod about the size of a coffin. "Premium companionship unit," the Vrex said, patting the pod with one clawed hand. "In stasis mode for transport. Very safe." Marcus transferred the credits from his account to the traders. 12,000 credits. Gone in an instant. "How do I wake it up?" "Simple. Press the blue button when you reach your ship. Unit will activate automatically." The VREX was already moving toward the exit. "Very easy. Very safe. You will be very happy." "Wait," Marcus called. "Don't I get some kind of manual? Instructions?" But the VREX was gone, disappeared into the crowd of the market. Marcus stood alone with the pod, wondering if he had just made the biggest mistake of his life. Getting the pod to his ship took 3 hours and cost him another 100 credits for transport. By the time he had it secured in his cargo hold, Marcus was tired and starting to regret his decision. But it was too late now. He had spent all his money. Marcus stared at the blue button on the pod's control panel. His finger hovered over it for a long moment. What if this was some kind of scam? What if there was nothing inside? What if it was broken? He pressed the button. The pod hummed to life. Steam hissed from the edges as the lid began to open. A soft blue light filled the cargo hold. Marcus stepped back, his heart racing. Slowly, a figure sat up inside the pod. Marcus's mouth fell open. It was not a robot. It was not an AI unit. It was a living being. She was tall, maybe 6 feet, with skin that looked like it was made of pale crystal. Thin lines of soft blue light ran across her arms and face like glowing tattoos. Her hair was white as starlight and fell to her shoulders. When she opened her eyes, they were the color of deep ocean water. She looked around the cargo hold, then her gaze settled on Marcus. For a moment, neither of them spoke. "Hello," she said in perfect standard. Her voice was soft but clear. "Are you Marcus Chen?" Marcus stared at her. "How do you know my name?" She smiled, and the blue lines on her face grew a little brighter. "The trader told me. He said you were lonely and needed a friend." "You're not an AI," Marcus said. "No," she agreed. "I am Zara, I am Catherian." Marcus had heard that word before, but he could not remember where. "I thought... The trader said you were a companionship unit." Zara's smile faded slightly. "I suppose I am, in a way. I was sold to be your companion. That is my purpose now." Something cold settled in Marcus's stomach. "Sold? You mean you're a person? A real living person?" "Yes." "And I just bought you?" "Yes." Marcus ran his hands through his hair. "This was bad. This was very, very bad. This is illegal. Slavery is illegal in this sector." Zara tilted her head. "Is it? I was not aware that. Human law applied to me." "All sentient beings are protected under Galactic Authority regulations," Marcus said. "I can't own you. You're free." For a moment, Zara just stared at him. Then something strange happened. The blue lines on her skin began to pulse faster, and her smile returned, brighter than before. "Free?" she repeated. "Yes. You can go wherever you want. Do whatever you want." Zara stood up from the pod, moving with fluid grace. She was even taller than Marcus had thought. "And if I want to stay here? With you?" Marcus blinked. "Why would you want to do that?" "Because," Zara said, and the blue light under her skin seemed to dance, "in all my years of being owned by others, no one has ever told me I was free. That makes you very interesting, Marcus Chen." Before Marcus could respond, alarms began blaring. Throughout his ship, red lights flashed on every surface. His communication system crackled to life. "Attention, civilian vessel. This is Commander Thex of the Galactic Authority. Prepare to be boarded. You are in possession of stolen property." Marcus looked at Zara. Her blue markings had suddenly flared bright, almost blinding. "They found me," she whispered. "I bought an alien companion, and I was surprised she was really happy." Part 2. The Hunt Marcus stared at the flashing red lights on his control panel. 3 Galactic Authority ships were closing in fast. Their sleek black hulls looked deadly against the stars. "Who is Commander Thex?" Marcus asked, running to the pilot's seat. Zara's face went pale, her blue markings dimming. "He is the one who owned me before the Vrex trader. He collects rare beings." She touched her throat with shaking fingers. "He said I was his most valuable possession." Marcus felt sick. "You escaped from him?" "The trader bought me from him. But I think..." Zara closed her eyes. "I think Thex did not want to sell me. The trader may have stolen me." The communication system crackled again. A cold voice filled the ship. "Marcus Chen, return my property immediately and you will not be harmed. Refuse and we will take her by force." Marcus looked at Zara. She was pressing herself against the wall, trying to make herself small. The light under her skin was barely visible now. "I'm not anyone's property," she whispered, but her voice shook. Something hot and angry flared in Marcus's chest. He had spent 2 years alone in space, mining rocks, saving every credit. He was tired of being pushed around by people with more power and money. And he was definitely not going to let some alien collector take Zara back to slavery. "Hold on," Marcus said, strapping himself into the pilot's seat. "We're getting out of here." He fired up the engines and pulled away from Kepler Station. The authority ships followed immediately. Marcus's mining ship was old and slow, built for hauling rocks, not running from the law. But Marcus knew these asteroid fields better than anyone. "They're gaining on us," Zara said, watching the scanner. "Not yet, they're not." Marcus steered toward a dense cluster of asteroids. "I've been mining here for 2 years. Let's see how well they know these rocks." The first authority ship fired a warning shot that lit up the space around them. Marcus ignored it and dove deeper into the asteroid field. His ship shook as small rocks bounced off the hull. "This is dangerous," Zara said. But when Marcus looked at her, she was not afraid. She was watching the asteroid spin past the window with wide eyes. "It's beautiful." Marcus almost crashed into a house-sized rock. "Beautiful? We're being chased by the space police." "Yes, but look." Zara pointed to where the ship's lights were hitting a cluster of ice asteroids. The way the light breaks apart, like diamonds scattered across black silk. Despite everything, Marcus found himself smiling. "You're crazy." "Perhaps," Zara smiled back. "Tell me, Marcus Chen, why are you helping me? You could give me back to Thex and go free." Marcus pulled the ship around a massive asteroid, using its gravity to slingshot forward. "Because what he's doing is wrong. You're not a thing to be owned." "Many beings have owned me," Zara said quietly. "Collectors who wanted to study my species, scientists who wanted to understand my abilities, merchants who thought I was exotic, but none of them ever asked what I wanted." "What do you want?" Marcus asked. Zara was quiet for a moment. "I want to laugh," she said finally. "I want to taste new foods. I want to see sunrises on different worlds. I want to have conversations about silly things." She looked at Marcus. "I want to choose my own path." An explosion rocked the ship. One of the authority vessels had caught up and was firing real shots now. Marcus's shields were already down to 60%. "Can this ship fight?" Zara asked. "It's a mining vessel," Marcus said, dodging another shot. "It has asteroid crackers and drilling lasers, but nothing meant for combat." "What about the mining charges?" Marcus looked at her with surprise. "You know about mining? I have been owned by many people. I learned things." Zara moved to the weapons console. "If we cannot outrun them, perhaps we can make them think twice about following." She began activating the mining charges, small explosives meant for breaking up asteroids. Marcus watched her work and felt something warm in his chest. Zara was not just sitting there being scared. She was helping. She was choosing to fight. "There," Zara said. "Ready." Marcus steered toward a large asteroid that was slowly spinning in space. "When I say now, detonate all the charges at once." The authority ships were closing in, thinking they had Marcus trapped against the asteroid. Commander Thex's voice came over the radio again. "End this foolishness, human. Return my Catherian and I will consider letting you live." "Your Catherian?" Marcus said into the radio. "She has a name. It's Zara." "Names are for people," Thex replied coldly. "She is property." Marcus looked at Zara. Her markings were glowing, bright blue again, and she was smiling. "Now!" Marcus shouted. Zara hit the detonator. The mining charges exploded against the spinning asteroid, cracking it into dozens of large pieces. The debris created a cloud of rocks and ice that spread out in all directions. The authority ships had to pull back quickly to avoid being hit. In the confusion, Marcus steered his ship through a gap in the debris field and accelerated toward open space. "We did it!" Zara laughed, and the sound filled the small ship like music. "Marcus, we did it!" But Marcus was looking at the damage reports. The ship's main engine was failing. They had maybe an hour before it died completely. "Where can we go?" Zara asked, reading his expression. Marcus checked the star charts. There was only one place close enough to reach with their damaged ship, a place he had hoped never to visit again. Blackwater Station, he said. It's a pirate haven, neutral territory. The authority can't follow us there. Pirates, Zara repeated. Are they better than Thex? Marcus thought about the stories he had heard. Blackwater Station was run by Captain Corvix, a Thurian war veteran who cared more about profit than laws. Pirates, smugglers, and criminals of every species gathered there. I don't know, Marcus said honestly, but it's the only option we have. As they limped toward Blackwater Station, Marcus watched Zara stare out at the stars. Despite everything, being hunted, being in danger, flying toward a pirate station, she still seemed amazed by the view. Zara, he said, can I ask you something? Of course. How can you be so happy after everything that's happened to you? Zara was quiet for a long moment. I was owned by a scientist once, she said finally. He studied my people, the Catherians. He told me that my species feels emotions more deeply than most, that we can experience joy and sorrow with great intensity. She smiled. For years, I only felt the sorrow. But today, with you, I remembered the joy. Marcus felt his throat tighten. What happened to your people? The Catherians? They are gone, Zara said simply. Our son died, and with it our hope. But I am still here. And today I chose my own adventure for the first time in years. Before Marcus could respond, alarms started blaring again, but these were different alarms. Proximity warnings. They had reached Blackwater Station. The massive, dark structure loomed. Ahead of them like a metal mountain. Ships of every size and description were docked to its hull. Some Marcus recognized as smuggler vessels. Others looked like they were built for war. Unknown vessel? A rough voice came over the radio. State, your business at Blackwater Station. Marcus looked at Zara. She nodded, trusting him to make the choice. This is Marcus Chen, he said into the radio. Requesting sanctuary. We're carrying valuable cargo and need protection from Galactic Authority pursuit. There was a long pause. Then the voice came back, amused. Valuable cargo, you say? Well, well, Captain Corvix will want to meet you personally. Docking Bay 7. And Chen? Try not to run. We don't like it when our guests run. As they approached the docking bay, Zara reached over and squeezed Marcus's hand. Thank you, she said. For what? For letting me choose. Marcus squeezed back. But as the docking clamps locked onto their ship, he wondered if he had just led them both into something much worse than Commander Thex. I bought an alien companion, and I was surprised. She was really happy. Part 3. The Revelation. The docking bay of Blackwater Station smelled like oil, rust, and danger. Marcus and Zara walked down the ramp of their damaged ship, surrounded by armed pirates. The gravity was heavier here than Marcus was used to, making each step feel like work. Captain Corvix was waiting for them. He was a massive Thurian, 8 feet tall with gray skin and 4 arms. Scars covered his face and neck, telling stories of old battles. His small black eyes studied Marcus and Zara like a predator sizing up prey. So, Corvix said, his voice deep as thunder. You are the ones running from Commander Thex. He laughed, a sound like grinding metal. That pompous collector has been hunting all over this sector for something he lost. We're not going back to him, Marcus said, trying to sound braver than he felt. Oh, I know you're not, Corvix said, because you're not leaving this station, at least not together. Marcus's heart sank. What do you mean? Corvix gestured to Zara with one of his 4 hands. The Catherian comes with me. You, human, can buy passage on any ship willing to take you. No, Marcus said quickly. We stay together. This is not a negotiation, Corvix growled. 2 of his pirates raised their weapons. Zara stepped forward. Marcus was surprised to see she was smiling. "Captain Corvix," she said in a calm voice. "Before you decide our fate, may I ask you something?" Corvix looked amused. "The pretty slave wants to speak? How entertaining." "I am not a slave," Zara said, and her blue markings began to glow brighter. "I am a memory keeper." The change in Corvix was immediate. His eyes went wide, and he took a step back. Several of the pirates lowered their weapons, whispering to each other in languages Marcus didn't understand. "Impossible," Corvix breathed. "The memory keepers are all dead." "Not all," Zara said. "I am the last." Marcus looked between them, confused. "What's a memory keeper?" Corvix stared at Zara with something that might have been respect. Memory keepers were the living libraries of the Cytherian people. They stored the history, culture, and knowledge of their entire species in their minds. He paused. When the Cytherians died out, the memory keepers were the most valuable beings in the galaxy, and the most hunted. "That's why Thex wants me so badly," Zara explained to Marcus. "Not just because I'm rare, but because I carry the memories of an entire civilization. He wants to sell those memories to the highest bidder." "And that," Corvix said with a hungry smile, "makes you worth more than this entire station." Marcus felt panic rising in his chest. "You can't sell her either." "Watch me, human." "Wait," Zara said. "Captain Corvix, you said you knew about memory keepers. Then you know we cannot be forced to share our memories. They must be given freely." Corvix's smile faded. "What are you saying?" "I'm saying that if you take me by force, my memories will lock themselves away forever. You'll have a pretty ornament, but nothing more." Zara's markings pulsed in a slow, steady rhythm. "But if I choose to stay with someone, if I am happy and safe, then my memories remain alive and accessible." The pirate captain looked frustrated. "Then I will make you happy, give you whatever you want." "I already have what I want," Zara said, looking at Marcus. "I have someone who treats me as a person, not a possession." Marcus felt his face grow warm. "Zara." "It's true," she said. "In the short time I have known you, Marcus Chen, you have given me something no one else has in 50 years of captivity." "What?" Marcus asked. "Choice," Zara said simply. "You asked what I wanted. You let me help in the asteroid field. You called me by my name." Her markings grew brighter. "You made me remember what it feels like to be free." Corvix looked back and forth between them. Marcus could see the pirate captain calculating, trying to figure out an angle. "This is touching," Corvix said finally. "But business is business. The Cytherian is worth millions of credits. The human is worth nothing." "Actually," came a new voice from the shadows, "the human might be worth more than you think." Everyone turned. A figure stepped out from behind a stack of cargo containers. It was a Zalani female, tall and thin with silver skin and large golden eyes. Marcus recognized the species. They were known for being information brokers and spies. "Yala," Corvix growled. "What are you doing here?" "Listening," Yala said with a smile that showed pointed teeth. "As always." She looked at Marcus. "You are Marcus Chen, asteroid miner from Sector 7. "How do you know that?" Marcus asked. "Because I make it my business to know things. And what I know about you is very interesting." Yala walked in a circle, around Marcus and Zara. 2 years ago, you saved 17 miners when their processing plant exploded. Last year, you found a lost colony ship and guided them to safety instead of claiming salvage rights. 6 months ago, you risked your life trying to save your partner Jake during that mining accident. Marcus shifted uncomfortably. "What's your point?" "My point," Yala said, "is that you have something very rare in this galaxy. A reputation for helping people when you gain nothing from it." She looked at Corvix. "Captain, what if I told you that this human could be more valuable to you than selling the Cytherian?" Corvix crossed all four arms. I would say you're trying to con me. Think about it. Yala continued. Thex is not the only collector hunting for rare beings. There are others. Powerful ones. If word gets out that you're harboring a memory keeper, this station will become a battleground. The pirate captain's expression darkened. Marcus could see he hadn't thought of that. But, Yala said, if you help them escape, if you protect them, then you have something much better than a one-time payment. Which is? Corvix asked. A human who keeps his word, someone who will remember that you helped when you could have profited. Yala smiled. Trust is worth more than credits in the long run, Captain. And humans are very good at remembering their friends. Marcus looked at Zara. She was watching the conversation with bright interest, her markings pulsing in patterns he was starting to recognize as excitement. She's right, Zara said to Corvix. In all my years of study, I have learned that humans have one trait that makes them unique in the galaxy. What trait? Corvix asked. Loyalty, Zara said. When a human considers you a friend, they will go to extraordinary lengths to help you, even when it costs them. She looked at Marcus with warmth in her ocean blue eyes. Marcus proved that when he chose to protect me instead of turning me over to Thex. Corvix was quiet for a long moment. Marcus could hear the sounds of the station around them. Ships docking, cargo being moved, voices in a dozen different languages. Yala, the captain said finally. What exactly are you proposing? Simple, the Zalani said. Help them reach safe, harbor. Give them supplies, a better ship, whatever they need. In return, you earn the gratitude of a memory keeper and the loyalty of a human who keeps his promises. And what makes you think this human will keep his promises? Corvix asked. Yala pointed to Zara. Because he has already kept the most important one. He promised to treat her as a person, not property. And look at her. Marcus looked at Zara. Her blue markings were brighter than he had ever seen them, creating patterns of light across her crystalline skin. She was smiling, not the careful smile of someone trying to please their owner, but the genuine smile of someone who was truly happy. I have studied many species, Zara said to Corvix, but humans are the only ones who seem to understand that happiness shared is happiness doubled. Corvix stared at her for a long moment. Then he began to laugh, that grinding metal sound echoing through the docking bay. You know what? He said. I like you both. And Yala is right. Trust is valuable. He gestured to his pirates, who lowered their weapons. You can stay here tonight. Tomorrow, I'll give you a ship that can outrun Thex's hunters. Marcus felt relief flood through him. Thank you. Don't thank me yet, Corvix said, because there's something you need to know. Thex isn't the only one hunting for your Catherian friend. What do you mean? Marcus asked. Corvix's expression grew serious. There are others, scientists, collectors, government agencies. They all want the last memory keeper. He looked at Zara. And some of them have resources that make Thex look like a small-time criminal. Zara's markings dimmed slightly. I know, she said quietly. I have been running from them for years. But now you're not running alone, Marcus said, taking her hand. Zara squeezed his fingers and her light brightened again. No, she agreed. Now I have a friend. As they were led to quarters for the night, Marcus wondered what they would face tomorrow. But for the first time since this adventure began, he wasn't afraid. Zara was right. Happiness shared was happiness doubled, and he was determined to keep her happy no matter what it cost him. I bought an alien companion, and I was surprised she was really happy. Part 4. The Journey Home. The ship that Captain Corvix gave them was called the Star Wanderer. It was small but fast, with clean engines and enough supplies for a month-long journey. As they left Blackwater Station behind, Marcus felt hope for the first time in days. Where are we going? he asked Zara, who was studying star charts at the navigation console. Zara's blue markings dimmed as she spoke. There is a place, a hidden colony where some of my people might still live. The Sanctuary of Echoes, in the Veil Nebula. Might? Marcus asked. I have not been there in 20 years, Zara said quietly. When I was captured, there were perhaps 50 Catharians left alive. I do not know if any remain. Marcus set course for the Veil Nebula. It would take them through human space, something he had not experienced in years. Most of his life had been spent in the outer rim, far from Earth's colonies. 3 days into their journey, they stopped at New Haven, a human trading post. Marcus needed to repair their navigation system, and they needed fresh supplies. As they walked through the station's marketplace, Marcus noticed something strange happening to Zara. She kept stopping to stare at things. A street musician playing, guitar, children running between the stalls, an old man selling flowers from his garden. Are you okay? Marcus asked when she stopped for the 5th time to watch a group of teenagers laughing over shared food. I am more than okay, Zara said, her markings pulsing in slow, bright waves. Marcus, do you see what is happening here? Marcus looked around. It seemed like a normal trading post to him. What do you mean? Everyone is happy, Zara said with wonder in her voice. Not the forced happiness of entertainment or the desperate happiness of escape, just simple contentment. A small girl ran up to them, holding a flower. Pretty lady, she said to Zara. This is for you. Zara knelt down to the girl's level, accepting the flower with careful hands. Thank you, little one. It is beautiful. The girl giggled and ran back to her parents, who waved apologetically. Sorry about that, the mother called. She gives flowers to everyone she thinks looks sad. Sad? Zara touched her face in confusion. Don't mind her, the father said kindly. She's got a gift for cheering people up, says everyone needs more color in their life. As the family walked away, Zara stared at the flower, a simple yellow bloom that grew in the station's hydroponic gardens. In 50 years of captivity, she whispered, no one has ever given me a gift just to make me smile. Marcus felt something, warm and tight in his chest. That's just how humans are. We like making each other happy. They continued through the market. At a food stall, the vendor insisted on letting Zara try different spices for free, delighting in her amazed reactions to new flavors. At a clothing shop, an elderly woman complimented Zara's crystalline skin and showed her fabrics that would complement her natural glow. Your friend is very beautiful, the old woman told Marcus. You are lucky to travel with someone who brings such light. That evening, in their ship's small common area, Marcus cooked dinner while Zara arranged her flower in a cup of water. She had been quiet since they left the station. The navigation system is fixed, Marcus said, serving her a plate of pasta with vegetables. We can leave in the morning. Zara nodded, but she seemed distracted. Marcus, may I ask you something? Of course. Is what I experienced today normal for humans? The kindness, the sharing, the gift-giving? Marcus thought about it while he ate. I guess so. Why? My species. We were different, Zara said slowly. We felt emotions very deeply, but we were also very formal, very careful with each other. We had protocols for everything. How to greet, how to show respect, how to express feelings. She picked up the flower, twirling it between her fingers. But humans, she continued. You share food with strangers. You give gifts for no reason. You laugh together even when you have just met. Her markings brightened. How do you do it? Do what? Find joy in such simple things. Make happiness look so easy. Marcus set down his fork. He had never really thought about it before. I don't know, maybe because life is hard enough already? We might as well enjoy the good parts. Zara was quiet for a long moment. My people lost their world because they lost hope. When our son began to die, instead of finding new ways to be happy, they focused on their sorrow. They felt the sadness so deeply that it consumed everything else. What about you? Marcus asked. How did you survive? For 20 years I survived by going numb, Zara admitted. I stopped feeling altogether. It was the only way to endure being owned, being treated as an object. She looked at him. But you changed that. I didn't do anything special. You treated me like a person. You asked what I wanted. You shared your food, your ship, your stories. Zara's smile was soft and warm. You taught me that happiness is not something that happens to you. It is something you choose to create. Marcus felt his face grow warm. I just did what felt right. Exactly, Zara said. For humans, kindness feels right. Joy feels right. That is your gift to the galaxy. The next morning, they entered the Veil Nebula. The space around them turned purple and gold as their ship passed through clouds of stellar dust. Marcus had never seen anything so beautiful. We are close, Zara said, her voice tight with nervousness. The sanctuary should be just beyond that. Cluster of asteroids. As they approached, Marcus saw it. A small space station built into a hollowed-out asteroid. It was dark except for a few dim lights. It looks abandoned, Marcus said gently. Zara's markings had dimmed to almost nothing. Perhaps they are all gone. Marcus sent a communication request. For long minutes, there was only silence. Then a weak signal came back. Unknown vessel, state your purpose. This is Zara of the Memory Keepers, Zara said into the communicator. I seek the Sanctuary of Echoes. Another long pause. Then, Zara? Little Zara, who left with the traders 20 years ago? Zara's markings flared bright with joy. Elder Nix, is that you? It is, child, but the voice grew sad. You should not have come. We are dying. Marcus felt his heart sink. What do you mean? Come aboard, Elder Nix said. You will see. The docking bay was empty except for 2 old maintenance robots. Elder Nix was waiting for them, an ancient Catherian with markings so dim they were barely visible. She moved slowly, as if each step was painful. Zara, she said, embracing the younger Catherian, you have grown strong. Your light is brighter than I have ever seen it. Elder Nix, what happened here? Where is everyone? Gone, Nix said simply. In 20 years we have lost all but 7, and we 7. We fade a little more each day. They walked through corridors that should have been filled with people but were empty and dark. Zara's joy was fading with each step. The despair took them, Nix explained. One by one they simply stopped eating, stopped talking, stopped caring. Their lights went out and did not return. They reached a common area where 6 other Catherians sat in silence. Their markings were so dim that Marcus could barely see them. They looked up when Zara entered, but their eyes held no hope. This is why you should not have come, Nix said to Zara. This place is where hope comes to die. Your bright light will only dim here, as ours have. Marcus watched Zara's markings fade as the hopelessness of the place sank into her. He felt angry, not at the Catherians, but at the unfairness of it. All. No, he said suddenly. Everyone turned to look at him. No? Nix asked. You're wrong, Marcus said. This isn't where hope comes to die. This is where it comes to be reborn. He looked at Zara. Show them. Show them what? Zara asked, confused. Show them what you learned. Show them how to choose happiness. Zara stared at him, then slowly began to smile. Her markings started to pulse, faint but growing stronger. "You are right," she said. "I almost forgot." She turned to her people. "I have learned something in my travels, something that could save us all." "What?" Nyx asked. "How to find joy in simple things," Zara said. "How to choose hope even when everything seems lost." The other Cytherians looked skeptical. "Child," one of them said, "we have tried. The sadness is too deep." "Then let me show you differently," Zara said. She looked at Marcus. "Help me?" Marcus smiled and nodded. It was time to share the most human gift of all, the ability to find light in darkness. I bought an alien companion, and I was surprised she was really happy. Part 5. The gift of joy. Marcus looked at the 7 dying Cytherians sitting in their dark common room. Their markings were so dim they looked like ghosts of themselves. The weight of their despair filled the air like thick smoke. "What do humans do when they're sad?" Marcus asked Zara quietly. Zara thought for a moment. "They share food, they tell stories, they help each other." "Exactly." Marcus turned to Elder Nyx. "When was the last time you all ate together?" Nyx looked confused. "We eat when we need nutrition. Food is merely fuel." "No," Marcus said. "I mean really ate together, shared a meal, talked, enjoyed each other's company." "We do not." Nyx paused. "We have not done such things in many years." Marcus rolled up his sleeves. "Well, that's going to change. Zara, show me where the kitchen is." For the next hour, Marcus did something that surprised everyone, including himself. He cooked. He found basic ingredients in the station's food storage and made a simple meal: soup, bread, and tea. Nothing fancy, but he cooked it with care. While he worked, Zara sat with her people and began to tell them stories. Not the formal historical memories of a memory keeper, but simple stories about their journey. She told them about the little girl who gave her a flower, about the vendor who shared spices, about the old woman who complimented her skin. "Why do you tell us these small things?" asked one of the Cytherians, a male named Vel. "Because they are not small," Zara said, her markings growing a little brighter. "They are everything. They are proof that in a galaxy full of darkness, beings still choose to create light." Marcus brought the food to the common room and set it on the table. "Dinner is served." The Cytherians stared at the meal as if they had never seen food before. "You cooked for us?" Nyx asked. "Of course," Marcus said. "That's what friends do." "But we are strangers to you." Marcus ladled soup into bowls. "Not anymore. Anyone who matters to Zara matters to me." As they ate, something strange began to happen. The Cytherians started to talk. First about the food, how it tasted different when someone else prepared it with care. Then about small memories, things they had not thought about in years. Vel mentioned a garden he used to tend on their homeworld. Another Cytherian, Lyra, spoke about music she used to compose. Elder Nyx shared a story about teaching young Cytherians to read the stars. With each memory, each laugh, each shared moment, their markings grew a tiny bit brighter. "I do not understand," Nyx said to Marcus. "How does sharing soup change anything? Our world is still dead. Our people are still gone." Marcus looked around the table at the faces watching him. "Because you're focusing on what you lost instead of what you still have." "What do we have?" Lyra asked. "Each other," Marcus said simply. "You have each other? You have your memories? You have your knowledge? You have the chance to choose what comes next." "But there are so few of us left," Vel protested. "So," Marcus said, "humans started with just 2 people, according to our oldest stories. What matters isn't how many you are, but what you do with the time you have." Zara stood up, her markings now bright enough to cast light on the walls. "Marcus is right. I have spent 20 years being owned by others, thinking my life was over. But I was wrong." She looked at each of her people. Our lives are not over. They are just beginning differently. She went to a storage panel and pulled out something Marcus had not seen before. A small musical instrument that looked like crystal. Chimes. I had forgotten I still carried this, she said. It belonged to my grandmother. Zara began to play. The sound was like nothing Marcus had ever heard, pure and clear, like water falling over crystal. But more than the beauty of the music, he watched what it did to the other Cytherians. Their markings began to pulse in rhythm with the melody. Slowly, hesitantly, Lyra began to hum along. Then Vel joined in. One by one, the other Cytherians added their voices to the song. The room filled with light and music, and for the first time since Marcus had arrived, it felt alive. When the song ended, everyone was glowing brighter than before. How? Nyx whispered. How did you remember joy? Marcus taught me, Zara said. He showed me that happiness is not something that happens to you. It is something you create, moment by moment, choice by choice. Over the next few days, Marcus and Zara worked together to bring life back to the station. Marcus fixed broken equipment and organized work schedules. But more importantly, he taught the Cytherians human customs, eating meals together, sharing stories, celebrating small victories. Zara shared her memories of the journey, showing her people how humans found beauty in simple things. She taught them what she had learned, that sadness and joy could exist together, that loss did not have to mean the end of hope. On the third day, something wonderful happened. Vel announced that he wanted to start a new garden in the stations. Hydroponic Bay. Lyra said she would compose new music, songs of hope instead of sorrow. Others began making plans, talking about the future instead of only mourning the past. You have given us a great gift, Nyx told Marcus as they watched the others work on Vel's garden project. What gift? Marcus asked. You showed us how to live. Instead of just survive, Marcus felt embarrassed. I didn't do anything special. I just treated everyone like people. That, Nyx said with a smile that made her markings glow, is exactly what made it special. A week later, ships began arriving at the station. Word had spread through hidden networks that the Sanctuary of Echoes was alive again, that the Cytherians there had found hope. Other survivors came, a few from distant colonies, some who had been in hiding, others who had escaped from captivity like Zara. Within a month, the station housed 30 Cytherians, not many compared to their original population, but enough to build something new. Commander Thex found them eventually, of course. He arrived with his ships, demanding the return of his property. But he found something he did not expect. 30 glowing Cytherians, all of them free, all of them happy, all of them protected by the neutrality laws that governed the sanctuary. And standing with them, a human who had become their friend and protector. You cannot have her, Nyx told Thex when he demanded Zara's return. She is free, and she chooses to be here. Thex tried to argue, tried to claim legal ownership, but his words carried no weight against 30 witnesses who testified that Zara was a free being making her own choices. In the end, he left empty-handed, muttering threats that everyone knew he could not carry out. 6 months later, Marcus stood in the observation deck of the sanctuary, watching ships come and go. The station had become a trade hub, a place where beings from across the galaxy came to experience something unique, a community built on joy instead of just survival. Zara joined him at the window. Her markings were so bright now that she seemed to glow from within. Do you ever regret it? She asked. Spending all your savings on a companionship unit that turned out to be me? Marcus laughed. Are you kidding? Best 12,000 credits I ever spent. Even though you could have claimed a huge reward for finding the last memory keeper. Even though, Marcus confirmed. Besides, I got something much better than money. What? Marcus gestured to the bustling station around them, to the happy voices and bright lights, to the community they had helped build together. I got a family, he said, and the chance to be part of something that matters. Zara took his hand, her crystalline skin warm against his. The galaxy is starting to take notice of humanity, you know. Other species are asking questions about your people, about how you heal sadness and create hope from nothing. We don't create it from nothing, Marcus said. We just choose to look for it, and we share it when we find it. That, Zara said, her smile brighter than any star, might be the most powerful force in the universe. As they watched the ships moving through space, carrying word of the sanctuary to distant worlds, Marcus realized that what had started as a lonely man buying companionship had become something much bigger. It had become proof that sometimes the smallest acts of kindness could change the galaxy, and in a universe that often seemed dark and hostile, that was the most human thing of all.